Happy Wealth Wednesday. Kiki, so glad to have you here. You have become such a fast friend and inspiration, both on how women are funding their projects and also this new world of the metaverse and what it looks like to create a new world and also to build the partners in the community that make it something worth being part of. So I'm so excited to dive in today. And I would love if you just kick us off with a quick blurb about where you are right now and what you're up to.
I am currently tuning in from upstate New York, and I'm a passionate advocate for female-led culture, found ways to really converge my interests in human evolution and how we interact with technology with advancing and amplifying female lens in those spaces. I'm really excited to talk to you about all of that and how all these seemingly different parts have come to weave together and how liberating that can be.
So the first question I always ask everyone, because I think it's such an equalizer and so cool to also hear these stories. Do you remember what your first ever investment was and what or who got you started?
I guess there's kind of two different parts to the story. I think the first one was when I was living in the Bay Area and had my corporate job and decided to take funds from my 401k and put them in a self-directed brokerage account within my 401k and invest in some of the big tech stocks. And that just felt like a super empowering move that I could make that was taking, my own education and putting my money where I really wanted it more specifically. So that was the first thing in my baby out of college days. And then how I got into Web3 and crypto investing. The first ever investment that I made was actually when I got paid in Ethereum for producing and curating a crypto conference during New York Blockchain Week in 2018. I had to get paid. I had to set up a wallet. I had to kind of rush to get everything initiated. And that was really my very first stake in the ground in the crypto space in terms of investing.
How and why did you get into this space of funding women and then ultimately building worlds?
I innately like to play at the edges of where things are going, socially, where culture is going, individually, how we develop ourselves as humans, and literally the edge of our growth in our consciousness and our bodies, et cetera. And then technologically, because that's feeding our social and individual evolution. And then I'm also extremely passionate about amplifying the female lens. I'm passionate about women, our bodies, our perspectives, our views, our ideas, and want to play a role in the self-actualization of women collectively during my lifetime. 5 years into my my work in corporate America in automation technology, there were several experiences that culminated during my time living in the Bay Area. But ultimately, I kind of woke up one day and actually saw the patriarchy. And what was interesting at that time was I didn't know what that was before then, and that was probably around 2012. And it was kind of mind-blowing. So that really ignited me to look at my own life in a different way, my own expression in a different way, and what I am embodying, what type of game I'm playing, because I looked back at my life in a sort of an instant and saw that I had been a very good daughter of the patriarchy, playing into the roles, the archetypes, the energies, the dynamics that were great for me in business and in the boys' club, but where I was learning a lot and being rewarded for it, but was fundamentally disconnected from myself and what I wanted to bring forth. So I would say it's been a 10-year journey since then of doing work that's specifically advocating for women and building female-led culture. And that's looked like doing consulting in companies and helping them strengthen their own employee workplaces for women, building spaces as an artist in social clubs, at music festivals, and ultimately doing strategic partnerships to further equity in terms of women getting the financial support that we need for our ideas. This innate desire that I have to be at the edge of how we're evolving individually and collectively And that's where Web3 is, that's where the metaverse is, that's where all of these things are converging in terms of how we're evolving as people and as a society and what we think and how we express. And so there's just been like this natural fit of these, unique things that I'm just nerding out on in my own time that I got to make a career out of at this point. I lead strategic partnerships at Wilder World, which is a photorealistic metaverse that is going to be launching land sales later this year and open world in 2023. It's an incredible project. And then I also lead partnerships for I Fund Women, which is a crowdfunding platform and funding marketplace for women-owned businesses. On the Wilder World side, I've been involved in Web3 and in blockchain since 2018. I had initially felt some aversion to the metaverse space. I am a earth girl. I love nature. I'm a yogi. I'm a meditator. And some part of me at first actually felt resistance to this space. But as I looked at it deeper, I really started to see how this is an unprecedented landscape for human expression, interaction, synchronicity. It has the potential to facilitate all of those things that I love about living in a big city like San Francisco or New York or Mexico City, and the random kind of encounters that you have on the street, the cool, weird people that are just doing their thing. I realize like it's a mirror image of that kind of, then the next level of our expression. Plus it has all these very, very interesting dynamics in play, microeconomics, macroeconomics. From a metaverse standpoint, that's one of the reasons why I'm drawn to that. I'm really interested in how we're evolving our consciousness. Human development is a baseline in a lot of the work that I do personally and professionally. And what I noticed stood out to me about this team is that they have there's a very balanced perspective in what they're building that bridges how we are as people and this human development piece with the metaverse development. And so I just feel like the values, the ethos, the potential that's being created through this project really mirrors what I value. And it's being done with a very, very deep commitment to artistic quality, to ensuring we're doing things that are not extractive for human attention. And that's really based on like a win for all model and building something that's proving out a new model of wealth creation and human coordination and organization that's really, really interesting.
I'd love if you could share a little bit more about that, about like Zero as a protocol and just, what role do you play in the wealth space and why is it important?
So what I can say about Zero as a protocol is it's really a protocol that's meant to host multiple metaverses, not just Wilder World. The uniting or unifying ethos behind Zero is that a project that's being hosted on it should be something that is being built and constructed with an ethos that is moving our economic constructs and society forward in some way. That's not a replication of our traditional forms of capitalism or advertising models, but that's really based on DAOs and this distribution of information, distribution of wealth, community participation, and these more circular models that we're seeing pop up. So it is an infrastructure that is available or is becoming available for communities that want to create their own DAOs. We're building Wyoming, which is a futuristic creative interpretation of the city of Wyoming as the first city of what will eventually become the entire world. It's built using LiDAR data that was publicly open sourced from the city of Miami, who is a partner of ours. And then we've built an entirely new terrain on top of it, an entirely new city that's circular in nature, that has elements pulled from Burning Man. We're working with some of the top architects, women, thank you, who come from Zaha Hadid. It's a really incredible project, and it's over 10 times the size of Grand Theft Auto 5. So this is a massive virtual playground that we will all get to exist in and play in. And we're having our very, very first Genesis land sale that will be like the island, essentially, what would be South Beach in Miami, later this year. We're the first that I know of at least, a procedurally generated land sale, which means that it's not just an open plot of land that you need to find a 3D designer to build on. Through our technology, we've built a very, very powerful procedural NFT engine with kind of those randomly computer generated attributes that you would see in a PFP project, like eyes, earrings, nose, backgrounds, etc., but for actual buildings and for actually like constructed sites. So you get a piece of land and you also have a dwelling or a residence or building on it. For women to be getting in this space right now, one of the reasons I'm so passionate about that is that it's an opportunity to get in at the genesis of something that's being built with an insane amount of quality and attention, and to have ownership. Like, I've always been playing in the DEI space. I think the equity piece is one of the hardest to actually make happen. There's plenty of rooms that want people of color and women to come speak, to be an advisor, to share their creativity, but it's not as often that we're really able to extend this kind of ownership, actual equity, in a way that's fully equalized. So that's why I think it's a really interesting time and space for women to get in, and why I want to see women-owned projects that are in Wilder World. And in particular, because if you're building a city, there's innately culture. It feels like an incredibly important time for women to have our visions and our presence be known in spaces like this. And it's fun. You know, it's like, it's meant for us to have fun in this space too. So I think, like, remembering that it's not heavy. It doesn't have to be so serious. It's about joy and expression, and having fun with finding these new ways to invest, and to grow ourselves is really the name of the game.
So cool. And as you've been in this journey, what do you think has been the most exciting thing you've learned about the metaverse or making of worlds that you would want others to know?
Number one, to take a long-term view. And this can apply for being in the metaverse and Web3. And I've personally learned that I've spent so many years feeling that I needed to have an insane amount of growth in my life, in my finances, in my career, in a very short period of time, and putting that pressure on me. And ultimately, playing a longer term game, it's so much better for our nervous system. And I think that helps us to stay grounded. And when entering into the metaverse or crypto or Web3, everything is changing so quickly. Like the rest of the world, the space needs grounded, non-reactive people. Bring that long-term view to our personal space, but also how we interact with this new economy is a huge benefit. There's no one way to be in Web3, to be in your career. I think we came from a time when we were being coached to specialize, have a thing that you do that you can become known for. And I struggled for a long time feeling like I needed to be one thing. And now I see how my interest in metaphysics and quantum physics and spirituality, my love of nature, human development, totally plays with having a mind for economics and structuring partnerships and building organizations. And all of these things fit together and inform each other, embracing the diversity of your interests, seeing how you can play in Web3 and express a fragment of yourself and piece these different things together. That to me, I think, is the new permission slip that we're getting, that I hope others glean from this, because we need that multi-hyphenate nature in this space. We need people who are interested in just as much the physical as the digital, all playing together.
Is there a person or a company in the space that's really inspiring you, and why?
It's Michelle Pelizon. She is the founder of Holisticism. She is somebody who I've really been inspired by to embrace what she calls being a squiggly brain person, somebody who has divergent interests, divergent thinking, that sees lots of different interconnections between something, doesn't want to keep doing the same thing forever and ever and ever. And really stripping away how we might label that as having trouble, committing or whatever it is, but seeing how we can actually work with that and how that informs all of this work that we do. And she's really big on finances and wealth creation And I really love her and other examples like Bozoma St. John, former CMO of Netflix, and really like just these women that are redefining what it means to be a woman, an adult, a businesswoman, a mother. They're redefining what it means to be like a self-actualized woman in my book. They really embody play, joy, creativity.
What advice would you give to somebody getting started?
When it comes to Web3 and the metaverse, just getting better at reading energy and being in tune with your own energy to know what you're drawn to, what projects, people, etc. That I think will serve almost more than anything to know like where your authenticity lies. Getting involved in some sort of a passion project, even if it's like you and your girlfriends getting together and talking about crypto or looking at NFTs, like make it a thing and then being able to leverage that going into conferences or having conversations and being like, I'm doing this thing as part of a project called Satoshi is Female. We had a very fun time in 2018 when I was producing that conference, semi-crashing the conference because it was a lot of finance dudes back in those days. And just saying like, let's bring all the women into the space. And so it was kind of a renegade initiative, women in Web3 at that time. And that was just a stepping stone that got me into rooms, that gave me something I was creating, gave me something to talk about where I was a participant and not just, a bystander. And I think that speaks volumes if you want to get involved in Web3. And those are things that you can leverage with your other skill sets to then get involved more strategically or concretely in the space if you want to do a side project or join a team. I Fund Women is an incredible platform for anybody who wants to do a crowdfunding campaign. There's also a ton of grants that we offer throughout the year. We offer a ton of free resources, including the I Fund Women playbook. I would highly recommend anybody check that out.
What else can we do to follow both your journey personally as a builder and community builder in the space, and then also to see the developments around Wilder World, the upcoming land sale, and then of course diving into this like gold resource playbook at I Fund Women?
Hit me up on LinkedIn, please. You can find me there, Kiki Federico. Send me a DM. I'd love to chat. In terms of Wilder World, you can find us at wilderworld.com. But I would say get on our email list. Stay tuned for the land sale that's happening later this year. Yeah. And then as far as I Fund Women goes, just go to I Fund Women and then get started. And you can download, just start an account and you can see all of the resources that are offered there.
Thank you for sharing your story. We'll definitely be following along.